Republicans are pulling together their party. Unity is on full display. And meanwhile, Democrats are left with a messaging conundrum. Politico with the headline, "It's like a pep rally around here. Republicans greet Trump as a hero while Dems simmer over Biden." And The Hill writes, "Biden walks a fine line to make anti-Trump case after assassination attempt." A new column argues the attempt on Trump's life means that Democrats can no longer carry on as if their rhetoric against him doesn't entice violence or division in America. Instead, they'll have to focus on policy, which is a losing narrative for Democrats who have made the country poorer and unsafe over the last 4 years, end quote. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has more here.
What I'm watching the president do, he's trying to reset his own campaign. The one thing that has happened for him since this shooting is no one's talking about Democrats removing him from the ballot now.
That's right.
So, and he's pulled the ads off, wants to reset it.
And just last hour, the New York Times reported Congressman Adam Schiff warned donors there could be a Democratic wipeout if Biden stays in the race. Quote, "I think if he is our nominee, I think we lose, and we may very, very well lose the Senate and lose our chance to take back the House." Marc Thiessen is here, Washington Post columnist. Okay, so you and I were talking off camera.
Yeah.
Oh, has everybody forgotten that there are all these people who don't want Biden to run in his own party? No, an hour ago, that's what you get.
Yeah, no, he's in a very tough position right now after this assassination attempt because, look, he is the most unpopular president in the history of polling going back to World War II. He is underwater by double digits on every single issue that voters care about. 7 in 10 Americans say that he's too old to serve another term. His only play was to say that Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. His only play was to say Donald Trump's going to be a dictator. He's going to unleash a bloodbath. He said it a couple of days before the assassination attempt. Now he can't say it anymore because then he just gave an Oval Office address saying, we got to tone down the rhetoric. We got to all take responsibility for this. How do you turn around and say Trump's going to be a dictator the next day? He can no longer say those things because it seems like he's inciting putting Trump's life at risk.
So it's interesting. Kellyanne Conway was on a little while ago with me, and her argument is their only messaging revolves around Trump.
Yeah.
And if you can't put Trump in every single sentence with vitriol and hate, basically, then how do you win? Well, that means that it was going to be a sad campaign anyway. It can't all be about one individual, period. It's got to be about the country to motivate people to vote.
No, that's exactly right. Generally speaking, voters respond to a positive message, which I think is what
or
you're
a message
see.
About them.
Yeah. Well, where you want to take the country. It's about the next 4 years and where you want to lead. I think that's what you're going to see from President Trump on Thursday.
So, as we're watching each night is Make America Great, Make America Safe, so on and so forth. What are the bottom lines for the Democrats right now? I mean, is there anything equal to any of that in what, and they've got messaging on abortion and so on and so forth. What do you see are the pinpoints for them?
They don't have any. I mean, that's their problem. That's why they were so focused on attacking Trump and Trump's character and the threat to democracy is because they don't have any other. I mean, think about every issue on immigration, on the border, on the economy, on everything else. Biden has double-digit disapproval. So how do you make a case that I've made your life better? You can't because you haven't made it. He hasn't made your life better. So only thing he could say is this guy would be worse. This guy would not only make things worse, but he would make the country put us at risk of losing our democracy.
And look, for right now, it is the Biden-Harris ticket. So as you look at her, it'll be interesting to see as time goes on. And you can't go after Donald Trump. What will she be saying? Okay, finger pointing at MSNBC this morning after the network took the talk show off the air yesterday. MSNBC reportedly pulled the program out of fear that some guests would make inappropriate comments about the assassination attempt. The network denies those claims. Here is Joe Scarborough's explanation. He's, the key host on the show.
Before we start this hour, Willie, I just wanted to briefly talk to our friends and viewers that watch us every day and talk about what happened yesterday. We were told in no uncertain terms on Sunday evening that there was going to be one news feed across all NBC News channels yesterday, that we were going to stay as a network in breaking news mode throughout all day yesterday. That did not happen. I guess after there was such a strong blowback about yesterday morning, I guess they changed their plans. We were very surprised. We were very disappointed. And if we had known that there wasn't going to be the one news feed from NBC News across all NBC News channels, Willie, we obviously would have been in yesterday morning.
His wife, Mika's looking at him like, okay, really? Let me just get through this. Fox contributor Joe Concha writing in a new op-ed, quote, even MSNBC can't trust Morning Joe after Trump assassination attempt. What MSNBC appears to be saying is we simply do not trust our most prominent full-time hosts during this crucial moment in our country's history. Your take?
It's an admission that it's not just the Biden team and the Democrats that have been using this irresponsible, heated rhetoric. It's the left-wing media as well. They understood in the wake of the Trump assassination, they understood that millions of Americans saw what happened to Donald Trump and said, enough. Enough. It's gone too far. Okay, we impeached him twice. We've 91 indictments, trying to sue him in civil courts to bankrupt him, and all the rest of it. And now an assassination attempt. At some point, it's enough. And I think millions of Americans are looking at this and saying, okay, I'm ready to give Donald Trump a second look. I don't like this media establishment. I don't like this president. I'm not sold on Trump yet, but I'm willing to look at him. He's got a chance for a second look, and he's got to seize that on Thursday.
Talk to me about where the categories of voters that Democrats like to target with, all of their campaigns and whatever. Black and Hispanic voters, young voters, suburban women. How does this affect them? Because none of the conversation coming from the left is about inflation right now. They are in survival mode to get past these moments. Yeah. In the meanwhile, at the RNC convention, those topics are on full display.
Yeah, so every one of those groups you just cited is paying $125 for a $100 basket of groceries. Every one of those groups that you're talking about, you just mentioned, is paying 50% more for gasoline than they were 4 years ago. They are not happy with Joe Biden. They don't approve of him. They think he's too old, but they're not sure that they can pull the lever for Donald Trump. They're looking at this convention to see, is this a man I can trust to put in the Oval Office? I'm not with the guy who's there now. Mm-hmm. I'm open to for sale.
Real quickly, are they going to see enough here to make that decision?
I think they will see from Donald Trump a president who is focused on uniting the country and lifting the country up and putting this kind of vitriol behind us. But then it's not going to be just the convention. It's what he does in the months after, how he conducts himself, how he carries that message. Don't even talk. Forget Joe Biden. Talk about where you want to take the country.
Got it. Marc Thiessen, thank you.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.